Peace, y'all. Welcome to Super Heru Radio. I am your host, Aseer the Duke Tears. You are now tuned in live to Super Heru Radio. That was a song from the greatest album I worked on that never came out, called Legend of the Bike Crusades by myself and a brother named Supernova Slum. Wow, we're on Moon Day night. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm just consolidating everything because my apartment is getting fumigated, so everybody got to get out for at least 2 days. So, of course, everything comes down to the wire, so you know how it is. But thank you for bearing with us. Thank you for tuning in once again to Super Heru Radio. Again, I'm your host, Aseer the Duke Tears, along with my co-host, Selena, the Empress of 10,000 Years, or more, you, the universal family of the planet Earth. We definitely say peace, salute. Thank you for tuning in. Everybody in the chat room, thanks for holding a brother down and always coming through and representing for Super Heru. So, as we know, we always deal with current events and stuff like that. To start, one of the biggest things that I've seen so far in the thing is that your man's approval rating is down about 2%. Now, nobody needs to really fret or worry about that until it gets below 6%. If it gets below 6%, then you got to start to do the knowledge. And for those people who still support this guy and like this guy, then you might want to put out positive energy for him and all of that. Because anytime a president's approval rating goes below 6%, they pull an Abraham Lincoln on the nigga, you know what I'm saying? So you might want to definitely put the energy out for that. And being that they're trying to flip this Romney dude as the new Ronald Reagan, you know what I'm saying? They going hard. One of the funniest things that they was trying to do, following behind some rap steeds, was that they was trying to create a hologram of Reagan to play at the National Congressional Convention. But to no avail, that didn't work out for them because they felt like it would probably come off too campy, which it would. But, you know, that ain't ever stopped them from doing whack shit like that before, so I don't know how to stop it now. But, you know, long story short. So, you know, that's definitely going down with that. Another interesting thing that I peeped going down. Okay, we got everything. No. You don't have no toy. So what happens is they've created another version of what's going down based upon the fact that they don't have any ways of renegotiating the $1.2 trillion deficit that has been put on the United States corporation as a whole. Being that deficit and will never really be realized, they're trying to create an algorithm to find it. The guy who created the algorithm was named Dr. Holmes. I think Dr. Teddy Holmes or something like that. But this doctor who was about to come out with this algorithm to trace where all the money from not only the stimulus package, but that $1.2 trillion that disappeared when your man Bush was still in office, they was looking for that too. Was going to track that down too. So naturally, right when that went down, that's when your man, the Joker, came through and shot up the movie theater and threw everybody off the track. The way that this is all connected is because the guy, James the Joker Egan Holmes, that guy is actually the son of Dr. Holmes, who is the dude who came up with the whole algorithm, like I said. So, case in point, since that is going down, the algorithm hasn't been used to find out, again, where the money went. So what that says to me is, you know what I mean, it was a shut-up thing and don't, you know what I mean, blow people up with my bread while my bodies is buried, you know what I'm saying? So in dealing with that, then you have the perspectives now of all of these different subjects and people coming into view who have idealized versions of how they need to start to structure the new political strata that exists in the American consciousness right now. Now, we have to understand, when this dude became president, he actually became president of the United States in receivership. So what essentially that means is that he's president of a country that's already going through a very specific political transition, a political transition that does not have the very best view for the American populace in mind. So what this does is it puts him on the outset of that populace and creates an instance where he has to garner more followers. But because you have the so-called Republicans who represent the so-called Caucasian infrastructure. Now, I'm not saying all people who are Republicans to this day are Caucasian, or that the only people in the Republican Party are Caucasian, or excuse me, the only people in power in the Republican Party are Caucasians. I'm not saying that either. What I'm saying is that the general demographic of the so-called Republican Party or Republican nation, if you will, consists of 70% Caucasian white males, or what a couple of years ago when Bush was campaigning against Obama, he said that he was basically campaigning to win the hearts and the minds of the NASCAR dads. Now that is a allegorical way of saying that I only want white males, because the NASCAR dads are basically all of the white guys who go to Talladega. Remember the movie Talladega Nights? And you had all of the white guys who were going into Talladega and watching all the cars and all that. Well, that's what a lot of the so-called people or demographics that they're fighting to get, which, again, is older to mid, anywhere between 25 to 45-year-old Caucasian white males. These are the ones that they were trying to, bring back into this whole John Wayne-esque form of American symbolism of traditional American values, coming from the perspective of a pseudo-integrationist, wink wink, slash socio-geopolitical climate that calls for, again, the ratification or unification of white males in general, so that way they can fight back against the foreign or immigrant or Mexican or black advances in quote-unquote society. Now, all of this comes on the cusp of this document now that has now come out, talking about that basically they're saying that 1 out of every 3 black women are herpes carriers. This is the new shit. So, again, what this says is to them that every 3rd woman that you see is supposed to be a herpes carrier. This is what they're saying now. It's right here. Thank you, Nick. You know what I'm saying? So all of this has created a system in which people are focused on the wrong aspect of their natural progression. You know what I'm saying? Well, give this amount. Take this amount. Thank you, baby. You know what I'm saying? So to take all of that, I'm sorry, guys, I'm just letting the company in. So taking all of that into consideration has now created an inference in a society that basically says that any black woman, that every black woman potentially is a herpes risk. This is what they basically put out. You know what I mean? And I don't think that's cool. But again, nobody in our community comes out to challenge these erroneous figures. No one in our community is coming out and saying that this stuff is erroneous. And why is it that you always focusing on the negative aspect of black health and culture? Why is it that we are always dejected at the bottom of everything, and then it seems that nothing that we do is consistent upon a healthy outlook, not only in this country but in this world? If nobody else sees a disparaging contradiction in all of that, there may be something wrong with me. You know what I'm saying? Well, all I see is people trying to justify why black people should be at the bottom of everything. And that's not cool, man. That's not a society. That's not how societies rule themselves. Come on, fam, let's brush your teeth. You know what I'm saying? Come on, baby, let's brush your teeth. Go brush your teeth. Come on. So, like I said, specifically speaking, this has created a disparaging rift, again, within the community. So this now becomes another reason why weak black men and weak black women start putting out reasons why they don't deal with their own kind. It's like our people look for any reason. Be like, oh, see, that's why I don't deal with black women, because they always be beefing. They always be riffing. They always be, and whether that's true or not, and sometimes that is true. Let's keep it real. But it's just as true when a black woman say, well, see, I don't be messing with these niggas because in the end, these niggas be trying to say one thing and then doing something totally different. That's true, too. But again, there's always an exception to the rule, and there's always an instance in where one can rise out of their own shortcomings. But it seems like we as black people is ready to give the benefit of the doubt to everybody else in this culture but us. So what that says is that we, this aspect of us that hate ourselves and our culture. And unfortunately, here in Super Heru Radio, I'm not here to tell you the shit that you want to hear. That's not my job, man. My job is to tell you the shit that you need to hear and the stuff that most other black people on other black shows ain't really going to deal with it on. That's what is always, I think, has always set us apart from everybody else, because we're not here to toe the company line, man. We're not here to make it seem like in order for you to do some type of knowledge or some type of right behavior that you got to act a certain way other than righteous. Thank you, Sam. So what we're saying is that this is another form of military occupation, but occupation militarily of the mind. Just do it. It's a military occupation of the mind. I'm going to stop talking back and do what I ask you to do. So specifically speaking, this has created more of a wedge between us, because now we can't even trust each other to be genetically sound with one another. Because now the genetic war has created this instance now with herpes and syphilis and these things that we know are not necessarily things that people set out to get, but things that people wind up with. These things are becoming more and more the norm, in which our people now are starting to look at it as if it's like no big deal. But when you look at the actual herpes simplex as it is created in terms of entity, it is something that has a period of death and regeneration. Therefore, there's a consciousness attached to the actual disease. You understand? Actually, we can't even call it a disease because it has a consciousness. So what we have to refer to it is a simplex. You understand? You're talking about something that exists off of the host consciousness or the host body that exists or that it exists around or on top of. So just like back in the days, I used to think that, it wasn't cool where, you know what I mean, you live a good society life, you don't be in jail, or you don't get caught up or whatever. In this new America, they want everybody as caught up. No, everybody as caught up. Everybody as, come on, put on your stuff. Everybody as caught up. Everybody as hopped up on as many different drugs and, many different drugs and everything else that they can get in order to maintain, like I said, this illusion that everything is all right and that things is supposed to be this way. And it may be supposed to be this way for everybody else, but again, I don't think that our ancestors or forefathers ever left that way out. You know what I'm saying? Like quiet as is kept, regardless of what you heard, Amen, Hatshepsut, Amenophis III, Akhenaten, Nefertari, these people wasn't dealing with things like herpes and syphilis and all this other type of shit. You know what I'm saying? They didn't have none of that, because they didn't have a wild Caucasian left errant in a society that's just basically infecting everybody with every type of disease that it basically created. Anybody will tell you, any real doctor will tell you, CDC or whatever, again, syphilis come from dogs. So if it comes from dogs, how do humans get it? Humans get it by you having sex with somebody that has sex with a dog. So in terms of bestiality and all of that, that's not really my bag, but there's a whole section of possibility, a whole section of the populace that's into that, to the point that they got to make laws to stop people from sexually abusing animals and all of that. So what does that say? It says that when you have to make laws to stop a group of people from sexually assaulting animals, then you are in Sodom and Gomorrah. It ain't just the Bible no more, G. You in it. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is it. So everybody want to read the parts of the Bible that justify their argument, but nobody want to read the parts of the Bible that deal with the actual judgment of what's supposed to go down for people that live that errant way of life. Well, I ask you to come in here so I can put on your thing. So like I said, family, this is the auspicious time for us to come into the knowledge of this and accept the fact that we not only have to protect ourselves consciously, but conscious protection also denotes a certain degree of protection that has to be recognized for what it really is. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. No, I think I have the phone. What? What's the big packet? Kate is talking. You forgot? Oh. Okay, it's back. So it's created that in the reality for people to exist in Hey, Super Heru Radio. I think I'm back. Yeah, they shut us down for a second. I guess they didn't want us talking about all the disease things. But like I said, in dealing with these diseases, these are forms of biological weapons. So the new biological weapon and the new WMD has nothing to do with a napalm or this or that. It actually has to do with things like actual males and females being let loose in communities sexually to satiate the appetites of those people who, you know, may be into different alternative aspects of sex, and then using that as a means to break down the infrastructure of the genetics of the individuals in the community, so that way they're producing babies that are not necessarily born vaginally. Because whether or not you realize it or not, or people told you or not, there's a thing that says that when they do the AIDS test or the herpes test or the syphilis test or whatever on a pregnant woman and they find that, then what happens is they have to automatically do a C-section because the disease is passed through the vaginal canal. So this opens up now more surgery for black women, more surgery in that instance. And whether or not they telling you or not, C-sections is major surgery, man. And the C-section racket in this country has now reached epidemic proportions, where you have women who have bad C-section jobs done, or they don't really heal them right, and then you have different parts of the organ settling in places that it's not supposed to settle in, and it's causing other problems in females, as well as their attitudes towards women and their own children, which may also enhance the whole postpartum thing, which then also enhances the whole, I don't feel loved, I don't love my children thing, which then increases the level of abuse and things like this in our society. But like I said, man, we are sorely lacking in any agency or agents that can actually come and deal with this in our community as an actual problem. Most of the stuff that people see in this community, or specifically in our community, people are just trying to disavow like it's supposed to be like that. Like somehow or another we're supposed to be at a disadvantage. Somehow or another we're supposed to be in situations where we can't have our own families and everything together. But then you can go and be nice to everybody else. You know what I'm saying? It's like Tupac Shakur, where he said, blessed day, Friday and dying. He was like, I would have, if somebody would have told me that I'd have been shot by my own people, that's the shit that really messed him up. Is the fact that he thought that so long as he was doing what he was doing for his own people, that his people always had his back. And unfortunately, as real as that could be, we got to deal with reality as to what is. And what is right now is the fact that a lot of people, black and white, are in a position where they are tired of us as original people being an obstacle in what they perceive as their evolution in this so-called American culture. You ever notice that when other immigrants come here, they treat you as an original man, original woman who was born here as if you're the worst and the laziest thing in the world? You know why they feel like that? They feel like that because from coming from the immigrant jurisdiction, which is a higher slave class jurisdiction. And you could tell everybody I said that, whether they're Italian, Polish, whatever. Anybody that came under here as an immigrant came under here as a damn slave, because that's what immigrant means. You granted immigration. Who granted these people that immigration? Who allowed them to get out of Europe at the time they did? Once you start to ask them questions and you get down to it, that's when you start to really do the knowledge as to who is what and what is what. And unfortunately, we're in a cycle or a specific cycle of time where history and pertaining to our people has been grossly misconstrued. So you have a lot of us that's still holding on to the false aspect, the jurisdiction of what history is, which then puts your mind under a false jurisdiction to a fictitious de facto government that is now here, that has now evolved itself into a strictly satanic form of government that would allow itself to subsist on you and your heirs for the rest of your existence here. You understand? So here on Super Heru Radio, we like to keep it as real as possible by letting everybody know the deficit nature that we are up against. Now, when you look at the universal understanding of who and what we are and how we represent ourselves and what we're here to be archetypes of, you know that we already won. However, like I've been saying, the biggest obstacle in your overall ascension is not necessarily this devil, because this devil is always going to be the one there working to stop it. But however, the devil, one thing about the devil, the difference between the devil and one of these grafted made devils is that the devil understands its own limitations. The devil understands what it can do and what it can't do. The devil understands what its limitation specifically of that 6 strand or that 6 ounce of brain, what that really does and how it inhibits them. So as I've been saying, we're naturally at the point where things are supposed to be redistributing themselves back into our favor. So as this happens now, we get in situations where we are forced or be put outside of our character to associate ourselves with different nationalities. Because the new Steve is that you black man and you black woman, you need to be with everybody else in the world except each other. Or if you do get with each other, once you have the baby, then y'all need to break up so that way he could get with another nationality and she could get with another nationality, and your kids can be raised by other people except the person that you chose to lay down and have it with. Why is it that this is the modicum of exchange when it comes to us having babies? And let's really do the knowledge. This has only been a direct phenomenon in our community for the past 55 years. 55 years prior to this, it wasn't like that. These are great-great-great-great-grandparents and them stayed together whether they hated each other or not, just to preserve the damn family because they understood the understanding of legacy. It was their children's children. Again, the baby boomer generation. Again, the World War II Nazi generation that came into this society and came into this reality and decided to act like they was on some revolutionary, hey, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to bang on this, we're going to do that, up until the white man started giving out jobs. One white man started giving everybody a job, everybody started fighting for the same system that was killing them. And look at where it's gotten you now. You know, on average, according to the Bureau of Internal Affairs, you know, on average, you have at least out of police brutality cases, that 45% of those cases are always taken out from people within the same ethnic group, meaning that the people that's doing the most killing and killing the most people within the cop sphere or the realm of police is the people that are already in, or the people who are in the community, who come from the community that is policed. Do the knowledge to that, man. That's self-hatred. You know what I'm saying? All of that is self-hatred, man. How much can you hate yourself to the point that you arrest and kill so many different people? Awesome. Okay. Close the door for me, okay? How long are we going to keep joining up with the same person who's been raping and killing us for the past 300 and some odd years, acting like that we're going to go in the community and actually do something different? As many times as I've met so-called black cops and they've come to me talking about, oh, well, you know, I just did that because it's the job and I'm trying to clean up the community. Like, the community ain't never been clean, man. You can never have a clean community. Anytime that we had a community that was clean for ourselves, you had different ethnic groups, whether it be the Italians, whether it be the Sicilians, whether it be the Arabs or whoever, coming into the community, bringing weapons, bringing drugs, bringing all of this shit, right? And then we use it to kill each other with because we too scared to flip it on everybody else. Because anytime there has been an organized movement of original people in this society, it has been thwarted by informants, which again means that the people you have the most to worry about are the people who look like you in this, man. And I'm not trying to tell you this to be paranoid. I'm trying to tell you this as your brother to be real, because ain't nobody else going to keep this real with you, man. Because everybody else got another agenda with this knowledge shit. Everybody else is trying to get you to sign this and be down with this and co-sign this and join this and say, oh, if you're not down with it like this or you're not down with us like this or whatever, or they trying to turn these shows and the radio into the new Hot 97 and consciousness. Like, this is the type of shit, man, that has gotten the movement where it was. This is not – just look at where you were in 2007 in terms of this consciousness movement. And then look what happened from 2008 to now. You would see a drastic drop in participation, in people's belief in what is being said and being toted out there by the so-called scholars. You know what I'm saying? And this is what becomes the acumen, or this is what becomes of our movements, man. Every movement that we have had in this whole epoch of us living under the jurisdiction of the quote-unquote devil, the grass-that-made devil, has been checked. The only movement that has never been checked totally by the devil is this. Is the movement that we in right now. So what does that say, man? What does that really say about the power that we have and how we are squandering it? By getting caught up into the meanderings of whose information is more pertinent and who should be sanctioned to say and do what. So when I'm talking about the syndicate, and I'm talking about how these niggas is basically trying to blackmail people into consciousness and ransom people's consciousness and running up a people's house with guns and shit, trying to get paperwork, like, this is real shit, man. This is real shit. And because it's that real, you have people that want to disavow that it's even happening. They want to get you wrapped up in the window dressing of this knowledge. When our ancestors said that God helped those who help themselves, and give the man what his hand called for. It's our responsibility, man, to connect the dots. It ain't nobody else's responsibility. It ain't nobody from no other people's community. Can't no Africans do nothing for you. Them Africans can't even protect their damn self. Now, this don't mean that I hate Africans or hate Africa or the continent or thing, whatever, but the truth is the light and what's right is what's right. All you got to do is go on BBC or any one of these things and go deeper to these countries, and you'll see Africans cutting off each other's head, man. That ain't no white man doing that. Whether it's a white man and the impetus behind that, it's still a black man sitting there cutting off another black man's head, cutting off a black woman's breast. The tactics where all of that shit come from Mossad and everything else. But the actual act is being committed by other original people. Excuse me. I don't even like using that word for them. But it's coming from people who are considering themselves Africans and are doing this because this one happens to be Muslim and this one happens to be Christian. But when you look at, or when the white man look at both these niggas, he looking at an African straight up. He ain't making no distinction. He don't give a damn what your tribe is. He only give a damn with that so long as he can use that as divide and conquer. He don't give a damn about what your individual political views of whatever tribe you down with is. He don't give a damn about that, Africans. He don't give a damn about you. So again, love is love, right? So that means you need to love whoever is going to love you, right? But love, true love, is based on truth. So if you engage in some sort of pseudo-love or romantic relationship with somebody and y'all both functioning under some sort of delusional idea of nationality or what it is historically you deal with, or you're coming from the perspective where you're not even building on any of that. I don't have any. Where we're not going to discuss race at all. We're not building on any of it. Go ahead, remember. We're not building on any of this. We don't even discuss race. We don't even do any of that. That's worse. It's worse. It's actually worse. So this is where we at. You mean to tell me two CEOs from the same company, 5 years apart, both shoot themselves in the damn head because they both having the same financial issues? Come on, man. Then when they interview the wife or whatever, the wife is coming out talking about, oh, well, you know, we was having an argument and all of that. But, you know, he had deep financial problems. Yes, he did. Deep financial problems. But guess what? He had just signed a $30 million deal. So that means what? So Don Cornelius shot himself over a girl. Chris Lighty shot himself over a girl. Shaquille Stewart shot himself over a girl, right? That's the story. That's how it works. That's what's hot in the streets now. That's how it works. That's the running line story. So when Roger Troutman gets shot in the studio and Jam Master Jay gets shot in the studio, that ain't no connection either, right? Right. So Whitney Houston died in the bathtub. Jim Morrison died in the bathtub. Brittany Murphy died in the bathtub. Mama Cass died in the bathtub to take her out the bathtub, say she choked on a hero, right? So all these people dying in bathtubs, that ain't no coincidence neither, right? That's just something that just comes out willy-nilly out the blue too, right? Come on, man. Come on. This is what I mean about, like, the fact that we don't have nothing. And when I say this, I'm not saying this to always browbeat y'all and come down and act like, oh, well, because I need help too. I need answers too how to set some of this stuff up. But none of it is going down, son. We got to come up with solutions to our own problems. But we don't even know. We got so many damn problems, we don't even know which problem start from which one end. Speaking of African, you mean to tell me, speaking of coincidence, you mean to tell me that you get 5 African kings, 5 African presidents all dead within 2 months, between 2 to 3 months of each other, within 5 months of each other? Malam Bakai of Guinea, right, dead January 12th. Gaddafi, dead Libya, October 2011. Bingo Wa Mutharika, right, of Malawi, dead April 2012. John Atta Mills from Ghana, Prime Minister of Ghana, President of Ghana, dead July 2012. Meles Zenawi of Ethiopia, dead August 12th, 2012. Come on, man. Come on. What's going down? Don't nobody see this? All while you got a so-called black president? But again, he don't give a damn. He don't give a damn. Which is crazy because he actually is African, allegedly, right? This nigga, yeah, it's fine. So this nigga, he actually is closer to an African than me. You know what I'm saying? Oh, that's nice. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm trying to say. Like, things is to the point, man, where we got to, you know what I mean? Like, you're either going to drink the Kool-Aid or you not. You know what I mean? You're either going to accept the fact that this thing is bigger than what it is we are perceiving it to be, And the fact that all of these deaths and all of these murders are culminating around the time that we are supposed to be focusing mainly on our ascension as original people. How can we even do that when we got to look out? Because just the other day, right after the blue moon, a sister who's going to the police for help goes to the police, and the police, with her baby, the police stalked this woman's genitals till she died. A black woman. You think Beyonce making a record about that? You think Alicia Keys making a record about that? You think Oprah going to do a TV show on that? Hell no. Hell no. This is what I'm saying, man. For those of us that actually have consciousness, for those of us that actually have some sort of integrity, for those of us that actually care about our children and the world that they are basically living into or being going to be forced to deal with, you have to realize, again, that you are the prey. That your black child, you got to leave for that one black child that you have, black woman, you got to leave 50 to 100 white women and white men that's trying to get that child from you. You understand? Because they have already deduced the fact that you as a black woman are a adult infant. They have put out an edict that says the worst place for a child to exist, a black child to exist, is in the womb of a black woman. I didn't create that sign. That sign, I was in New York the other day. That shit is still there. It is still there. Were there any big protests about that? Did any of the black women that have issues with what is being said here and there, whatever, did they start picketing? Did they come out against the ad agency that said that? Let it have been a sign that said the worst place for a Jewish child to grow up is in a Jewish womb. What? We got a lot of heart when it comes to each other, but when it comes to banging on this crack or this devil, we don't have none. Niggas can show all the guns and shit they want to show on Facebook, but if you sending your child to public school, then you part of the problem still. Because all that guns and all that don't mean nothing. If they want to, they could just straight up Columbine the kids' school, and then you're dealing with that. Their revolution's done. That's out the window now. That sounds good. So, like I said, man, blessed death to all of these African presidents who got bodied under the watch of a so-called black American president. Black African American president, because if anything, he really is an African American. If you go with the route that his pops was the one that they said it was, I don't think so. I think his pops is Frank Marshall Davis. Anybody that don't know what I'm talking about, go on my site, www.iseertheduketeers.com, get the DVD that we did on this whole thing called Welcome to Obamatopia, because that's what all of this is. But now that his approval rating is going down, you got to watch that, because anytime president approval ratings drop below 6%, that's when you start hearing that Oswald music, you know what I mean? So gotta watch out. Funny point. Interesting enough with that whole thing. Did you know, or did anybody know, that the guy Zapruder, who got the original Kennedy film on tape and all of that, Zapruder, as well as Warren, who set up the fictitious Warren Commission, were both Shriners in the same lodge at the same time? I just found that out the other day. We can't even solve the people that's killing people in our own community. Who killed Steve Copley? I spoke to his brother Calvin, who is the one who's been filming all his videos for the past 20 years before we left New York, and he told me, again, it was a black woman. He said Steve called him 7 days to dying, said it was a black woman poisoned him, just like with Khalid Muhammad said a black woman named Ambush poisoned him. Just like they said that when they set up Patrice Lumumba, it was this black woman Aid that set him up. Because they're using the whole Eve Lilith ritual as a means to, again, disenfranchise the fact that, boom, the black woman is your enemy. This is what they want me to believe. But guess what? They're not altogether lying, because you have a lot of black women out here that's not trying to do anything for brothers or sisters or black people in general. Everybody else can look out for their nationality and their group. a body politic with us. You don't find that funny? So when we talk about nationality and declaration and declaring things and things like that, what use is that if we can't even trust each other enough to give paperwork or treaties to each other? Because that's really who you're supposed to be filing paperwork with. More black man, black woman. You're supposed to be filing paperwork with each other. So much so that there'll be so much paperwork between each other, so many treaties with each other, that it is no way that you can deny that a nation truly exists. But because most of us want money out of this, we file paperwork to get that. And so the longer we do that, the longer we stay outside of our original national character. And that puts us on the outside of the moral circle 7 Quran, as well as the ionosphere itself, which is the realm of the ancestors. Because we are striving to set up an earthly government only, and that's why it's not working. You can't set up a government that's just based on earth in 2012. Nigga, what are you doing? They just came out the other day talking about that they found another solar system with a dual planet, another Earth, that's basically just as blue as this one. They just came out and said this shit the other day. Why? Because this cracker's looking for somewhere else to go. He trying to leave this destruction to y'all. He trying to have y'all pick up the karma. He trying to have y'all do that. Don't you think it's funny that when you think of the term Illuminati now, the first thing you think of is a rapper or some shit? You don't think that's funny? When 10 years ago, 5 years ago, rappers wouldn't even admit that anything like that existed. Why is it so trendy now? Who benefits from the trend? Why is it so hard for original people to get together at this stage in the game, knowing everything we know? Because it ain't about what we know, y'all. It ain't about what we can do. It ain't about what we even going to do at this point. I think it's about our intent. Our intent is screwed up, man. Most of us is not intending this thing to go beyond the fact that once I get my taxes and once I get my domain and shit straight, then that's me. I got me, and that's cool. But that's not helping everybody because according, again, to the original documents that set up what the jurisdiction things was, and according to certain documents that the United States Corporation put out to verify the fact that they enabled, not only enabled, that they basically based their entire society, their entire government on you. We've been telling people this. But again, the problem is most of our people don't read. So again, go and find House Congressional Resolution 331, which is a concurrent resolution that basically says to acknowledge the contribution of the Iroquois Confederacy of Nations to the development of the United States Constitution and to reaffirm the continuing government-to-government relationship between Indian tribes and the United States established to the Constitution. So what that means, we're talking about two different things. We're talking about the Iroquois Confederation of Nations that was already admitted to and has been accepted as the founding essence of what is the Continental Congress, which means that it is the Continental Congress, and the fact that that is totally different from the so-called Indian tribes that have pseudo-Indian jurisdiction. No, I want to finish. So this is the cycle that we're in, brothers and sisters. What? So, like I said, specifically speaking, it becomes this ebb and flow of energy and how it is we are not using the original jurisdiction as it was set up for us to do so because we have so many chiefs and not enough Indians. Literally. You dig what I'm saying? So this document still exists. Therefore, the understanding of who and what our original people was then. But because they want you all to come from Africa and they want you all to associate yourself with people who are cutting the heads off of children, cutting the breasts and the lips off of people, that this is supposed to be your future, black man. You ever ask yourself, of all these Africans that came over here that you'd have met in your life, how come not one of them ever talked to you about slavery? But they want to put it on you like you the worst thing in the world? Because they came out of you. You ain't come out of them. The original Asiatic black man has everybody's bloodline in him, but not everybody got his. You can only get his if you come out of his loins. That's why the black man in America is the most copied and the most emulated by bar none of every male on the planet, of everyone. Regardless of how much they hate you, regardless of how much they don't want to be down with you, you are what they want. Regardless of how mad black women and all that shit is against you and don't like you or whatever, you are the one. It's you. You are the Neo, original man. And somebody got to stand up and say that he, regards to his present state, is more than that. And it needs to be, again, not only himself, but it needs to be his woman. This is the time where we need each other more than any other time in history. And now this is the time where I'm seeing every other black woman I see got a damn blonde weave in her head, man. Every other black man I see walking around with some Caucasian chick, man. It ain't supposed to be like this. It ain't supposed to be disenfranchised and this self-hatred, this self-hateful that we can't even want to reproduce with each other. So like I said, man, this is what's going down, man. This thing is real. And like I said, it's a spiritual thing first. So if you want to set up a government that don't have no spiritual base, regardless of how red, black, and green, and how militant and revolutionary you are, you're going to lose. You're going to lose. Because the one thing that we have that separates us from everybody else on this rock is the fact that we have a spiritual connection divinely through this melanin aspect. That we can commune with the higher realms and the lower realms and shit like that through this melanin, through this understanding. So can we do that? No. No. We want to be in secular wars. We want to be in totally conventional wars. We want to use just as many guns as this thing. Yeah, we created the gun, but this dude perfected it and put it to the point where he done added so many other essences to it that you got guns inside of guns inside of guns now. You can't win no battle against that devil with no gun. That's what he wants, because that's his level of warfare. He has not graduated into a higher level of warfare, intergalactic spiritual warfare. He hasn't graduated to that yet. So while all of this is going on, some of the initial instances that's happening domestically, or I should say pseudo-domestically, in some of the territories, one is in the Baltic Sea. They found a object that they can't explain, but has been giving off a steady pulse for the past 2 years, but they've finally been able to localize it where it is. They're saying that this thing is pumping out huge aspects of dark energy emissions. Now, I don't know how they read it as dark energy when in fact they can't even really see dark energy, but this is what they have basically regaled us to. The other aspect of this is interesting is that there were some scientists from Caltech that put out an instance that basically said that within the Earth's magnetic field, they have found redundant energies that come online every 7 days, and that they tend to manifest. They never manifest in the same point. So basically, what they're saying is that this Earth's magnetic fields now are starting to generate portals. that these portals are starting to leave what they call salt spots in our upper atmosphere. And these salt spots are causing huge amounts of more cosmic radiation to come into the planet. But this cosmic radiation that they talk about is coming from, again, a dark energy or dark energetic place. So dark energy is symbolic of the black man, and dark matter is evidence then of the black woman. Then this dark energy that's bombarding the planet is a direct message, right, to the original man, whatever that may be. These portals that you feel opening up may be manifesting in you in terms of the downgrade of information that you've been getting recently. If you've been getting headaches all of a sudden, you know what I'm saying, just out the blue, you don't really get them like that, but, you know, you have little headaches and things like that. These things are aspects of these portals opening up in your mind. Don't believe me? There's always a book. And there's a book called Psychic Protection. The Art of Psychic Protection by Ted Andrews. And there's a section in there that talks about cosmic reception and how to attune oneself to the cosmic element, or the cosmic element of the reality itself, enough to receive messages from heaven or from the Creator itself. So like I said, we're the spiritual people, but instead of dealing with spirit, we want to deal with everything conventional. Also, what I'm peeping is that based upon the lack of clarity in terms of melanin beings and all of that, you have a lot of beings now where they've actually perfected a form of synthetic melanin that you can spray on. They're calling it melatonin spray. So the question is, where they getting enough melanin to spray in a can where these white folk can tend to look like you? Now, it's not enough for a spray on tan now. Now the tan got to be consistent of melanin. The old tans and shit used to just have beta-carotene in it and plant extracts to, you know, make you a little darker. Now they put straight melanin in the spray can. So where they getting the melanin enough to do this? You can't synthesize melanin. The only form of synthesized melanin exists in the physiology of people who are not traditionally melanated, such as EU melanin and things like that. EU melanin and phenolmelanin, these are melanin extracts, but they're not necessarily real. So like I said, Harry Belafonte came out and basically screamed on all of these new young boule niggas and basically is talking about that there's nobody in the upper black community that's dealing with the issues of the black community, that all of these niggas would rather just write a check than actually stand there and stand up and do something. Remember the Gen 6? Everybody forgot about that, right? What happened with that? How'd that turn out? Is anybody convicted? Has anybody got away with it? Has the practices of the racist town that was already on the segregation shit, has that stopped? No, it hasn't. But the country's moved on. Right? So what you got to see is every so often there's some sort of racial op that goes down to test whether or not you niggas is ready to go ham. And every time something happens, we make a big fuss, and then nothing happens. Got niggas making references to Trayvon Martin and Rick Ross and Usher songs, right? This is the amount of revolutionary aspect we in. But if anybody wants to diss spirituality, if anybody wants to diss the Creator, there's always a record deal for you. Let's get into some calls to see if anybody's in. Do your research. check out House Congressional Resolution 331, man. It says it all there, but what it does say in plain English, it says it's trying to reaffirm, it's there to reaffirm the continuing government to government relationship, right? So the government of the Iroquois Confederacy is totally different than the government of so-called Indian tribes, understand? Totally different. Also, big up to the crew royalty, Sister Cia White. She sent me a verification picture of something that we talked about on the show a long time ago about how they created these new tsetse flies that are not actually mosquitoes or tsetse flies, but they're actually mechanical flying drones with cameras in them and the potential to administer lethal doses of arsenic and shit like that once they bite somebody, because you might just swat to think it's a mosquito and that could be a hit. It's about the size of it's actually smaller than a real mosquito, I think. And it's all mechanical parts, and they've let these things loose out of everybody. Remember a couple of years ago, or maybe a year ago, they talked about that there was this whole big research facility in Guam, and they let loose all of these genetically engineered mosquitoes that they're afraid that's going to get out there and eat everybody and poison everybody and shit. This is where this is coming from. So between the mechanics, the cyborg mosquitoes, the propaganda that 1 out of 3 black women, that every third black woman you see got herpes. Like, come on, man. But then you got these musicians now. There's a group called Chester French, which is these 2 like real square white Caucasian cats, and they got a song called Black Girl. And the song is all about how much they want black women and love black women and all this other shit. But when you look at the video, it's all of them aestheticizing black women as straight up sexual objects. My man from NRO, Jahari Supernova, put out a video and a song called Black Girl years ago that was rocking on that. And nobody heard of that. You know what I mean? He did a video, all that. Tried to get it in mainstream, all that. Niggas was hating. Now, Chester French got the Black Girl song, and the shit is all over the place. Yeah, man. So let's see if we can get some calls real quick.
Unmuted.
254, you on Heru Radio? Anybody there? I can't hear you. All right. 757, you on Super Heru Radio? No, 757. (832), you on Super Heru Radio? Hello? Peace. Peace, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. Hey, what's up, man?
What's up, G?
I got a question for you.
What's up?
Hey, man, see, I want to see what you think about this, man. It's Sean, man. You know I'm an artist, right?
Mhm.
And man, one of my good friends,
artist?
man. Nah, man, I'm a visual artist. I sent you a couple of my pieces. Yeah, man, I got a friend of mine, man, that knows I'm an artist, right?
Right.
And this dude calls me today and asks me how he, where rather he can go to get some art that he bought, where he can get it put on, on a canvas or framed or what have you. And so I'm tripping, right, because I'm like, I grew up with the cat, stayed with the cat. He knows I'm an artist, but he goes and buys some art from just some random person that pops up at his house. Then he asks me where he can get it framed and stretched or whatever, or prep on the low. Then the dude had the audacity to ask me, do I sell my art? So he sends
know you was doing that all the years?
Yeah, man, he knows I'm an artist, man. So I'm just like, you know, why would I not sell my art? And then the dude shows me the art, man, that he did, man, and it's like,
whack.
Yeah, basically, man. You know, it's like some wine bottles, you know, and then some cat going through Italy on a gondola or something, man. And I'm like, dude, what's up, you know? So I'm just kind of tripping, man, on how, man, you know, it's like with art or whatever we do from music to visual art, it's like when you try to just kind of keep it real and try to make some real art or real music, man, it's like your own people, man, it's like they act like they ain't with that, you know?
Yeah. Why do you think that is?
Man, it's almost like, man, I kind of feel like it's just programming, you know? It's just no different than, you know, we're black, so of course I'm gonna do black stuff. You know, I'm gonna do something that I feel like it will empower my people, and especially with the art, man. You know, most of the art that they expose us to, man, it'll have you on some, man, I don't even understand that. So it's crazy, man. You know, and it's like if I check out some art from a Spanish cat or, you know, a white cat, I'm going to expect to see something that reflects, you know, their culture. But it's just like, it's like we're the only people, man, is you don't expect what makes us to come out in what we create. It's like if we do that, man, it's like something's wrong with that, man. It's just crazy.
Wow.
It's weird, man.
Well, what you're seeing is evidence of envy and wanting to hurt your feelings. You know what I'm saying? Wanting to pull some type of response, some type of knee-jerk reaction out of you. You know what I mean? Because that happens to me all the time. Me and Slim was just talking about something like that. And with a lot of people, you know what I mean, based upon them being creative or the lack of being creative or whatever it is, do things to put you in situations where they don't necessarily support you, but they'll support other people. You know what I mean? It's kind of like when your family sees a certain talent in you, instead of helping you, they kind of detract from you. Oh, that ain't going to happen. You ain't going to do that. Or whatever. And I'm not saying everybody's family do that. I'm just saying that happens a lot in black families specifically. And it's the crab in the barrel thing, man. It's the evidence for the fact that, you know what I mean, you don't necessarily know history with somebody, don't denote friendship with them. You know what I'm saying? I'm quite sure if you look back over time in history of your friendship, there's probably little instances that you can kind of cite to show that this dude was always the type of hater. You know what I'm saying? Because that's just how people can be. You know what I mean? You either create or you don't. You don't create a little bit. You don't create, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like, you don't get a little bit pregnant. You know what I'm saying? You either are or you ain't. You don't put on a condom unless you're ready to have sex. You know what I'm saying? And people don't like things being that black and white. But that's how our ancestors and a lot of our antithesis, a lot of our antecedents dealt with shit. Very black and white. People want to have room, though. They want to be able to wiggle out of shit. not really commit to shit and act like they down with you, but they still hate on you at the same time. You know what I mean? Like, it's about what you do, though, and about how you maintain friendship or not from this point on. But if you his friend, you should bring it to his attention. Because maybe he don't realize. Maybe he don't realize that that's being insensitive. But I don't know you, and I can see that that's insensitive. So, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But if you his friend, you should definitely bring it to his attention. And then take it from there.
Yeah, that's what's up.
But thank you, man. Thanks for calling.
All right, man. Y'all take care.
Peace. Want to give some condolences out to the family of Michael Clark Duncan. He is passed to the essence today, just now at 54. His wife, Omarosa, was by his side, and he died in what they're calling cardiac arrest. Basically, they're saying that he never recovered from the myocardial infarction that he suffered on July 13th, suddenly. So, Omarosa came home and allegedly found him in cardiac arrest. And, you know, that has happened. So we want to definitely bless the dead of Big Bear. It's one of his roles in the movie Armageddon. John Coffey was Jesus Christ in the movie Green Mile, written by Stephen King. Some of the other roles I don't want to mention because they kind of played itself on some, you know, pseudo gay shit. But, you know, bless the dead. And it's sad. You know what I'm saying? But I see, like, everything was cool, but once he hooked up with the black woman, right, he passes at 54, which is born. So he's the first major star, I guess, to pass in the third month of Jason, which is now the S month, the September month, in the Jason sacrificial season. I want to read something that Harry Belafonte said about this current crop of people out here allegedly, you know, being a part of stuff or whatever, or acting like they doing something. Harry Belafonte said, artists are the gatekeepers of truth. We are civilization's anchor. We are the compass for humanity's conscience. So look at that. He's talking about the Trinity. Talking about truth, civilization, and consciousness. Sitting in a tiny basement of the Schomburg Library in Harlem, 1946. You know, Harlem, 1946, Paul Robeson, one of the great men of the 20th century, delivered those words. To the media. Excuse me. Delivered those words to the media back then. So Harry Belafonte was spoken to recently. He basically went in and he was just like, nah, you know what I mean? Most artists today are just straight up corporations, you know what I mean? And African Americans have had little or other than the arts to inform us about truth, history, or treasures of our legacy. So nowadays, because it's all focused on maintaining the status quo through money, that there's no basic integrity in it, you know what I mean? And that there's nobody really bigging up black culture in anything no more, you know what I mean? Excuse me. So, you know, reps for Beyonce and these people put out propaganda talking about how much, she put up $100,000 to the survivors of Hurricane Ike or whatever. But, all of that is window dressing for the fact that none of it is really being put into the proper context because, again, you got black celebrities just being offed, simultaneously, and it's really not cool, man. And nobody is really seeing any connection in these deaths because, everybody's dying of cardiac arrest. Well, let's go into another call. 757, let's go to Heru Radio.
Peace.
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 Peace. What's up, Jody? How you doing?
Yo, what's going on, bro?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
Doing good, man. I just wanted to, shout you out, man. You putting in the work, man. Show's on point tonight, man.
Thank you, Sam.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, man. I just want to say what you was going in on earlier in the show about, and just wanted to build with you on the fact that I think, part of the problems that we face is seems like, it's hard to get the movement and everything off the ground like we want to because, the mainstream, these cats like, Al Sharpton and the mainstream is like dominating what is supposed to be, like the struggle that we are encountering, you know what I'm saying? Basically the whole thing of keeping everything based in that civil rights arena, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah, so it's
that's
like,
the problem.
That's
the problem. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you're right, Coach. You're right. And because they don't create at least in their fictitious society, they have alternative views of each other. It's like all black people are expected to all see things the same way because we black. You know what I'm saying? So there's almost like a drone-like perception of us as a people where we need some sort of leader. We have like a hive mind mentality. But the people who are projecting that on us are people who use the hive and all of that as a means as symbols to maintain a society. So this whole idea of us coming into, real knowledge of ourselves is really indicative of humanity reaching a level where nobody else in the universe is really moving up until we do. So it's like everybody and everything is waiting for us. That's why everybody mad. That's why everybody, make fun of us and shit like that because there's a subconscious almost disappointment that other quote-unquote racial groups have of us that we don't really, or that they have not or will not articulate because they know that within us is the ability for everybody to get right. You know what I'm saying? But we're not accessing that aspect of our consciousness because we're worried about the petty idiosyncrasies that we are inflicting on each other based upon what we feel one of us owe each other. When everybody broke. Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah. It's and when you say that, it makes me think of within like what you would call this community. Like I think there's some instances where we are kind of holding up the progress because it's like you'll have somebody they'll come on YouTube, they'll put out some information, and somebody will comment on that in a hateful way. Yeah, not even like addressing. Right, not even addressing like the content of what they're saying, but they got something, like they taking it to like, we in high school or something, or like in 8th grade or something like that. Your teeth look messed up. I can't listen to you, or something retarded like that. I'm like, this brother just, he's putting out information about how to elevate. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, that's not, have something more intelligent to if you need to counter what he's saying or hate, you know what I'm saying, base it on what's being said, you know what I mean?
Base it on the facts of what I'm saying. But they can't do that because what I'm saying is true, or as true as I can be in the moment that I'm saying it. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes we'll build on something and then I'll find out later that there's another aspect to that. So I got to go back on the show to let everybody know. These dudes have no protocol, no acumen, no nothing. And so they use aesthetics, archetype, physical appearance, see what I'm saying, as a means to, in speculation, as a means to give credence to an opinion based upon them feeling slighted. Because then, if we take it to its real conclusion, if all of that is coming from, let's say, one side of it, and me or you is not saying, is not even contributing to that dialogue, then that means that that's really just a cry for help. You know what I'm saying? It's a cry for redemption. It's a cry for attention. And it means to come down to that level to deal with it. And it's like, nah, somebody got to have integrity sometimes. You know what I mean? And say, no, I'm not down with that. You know what I'm saying? Regardless of who or what. Because of this fact, and this fact. But if we get into the facts of it all, then it's going to bring everything down. So what happens is individuals get ostracized, you see what I'm saying? And they marginalized, and then they just get put out to detract them from what their real work is, what they try to do with Umar Johnson.
Okay. Yeah, what do you think about what that had gone down with that thing with the brother?
It's to stop his work. It's to get him caught up and distracted into useless banter that has nothing to do with what his overall mission is. It's to slow him up. They get him caught up in ego. To slow his vibration down enough for them to catch up to him, so that way they can somehow influence. Because they see he know better than us.
Yeah. And when I see stuff like that happen, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, it's like you almost need to keep a low profile, because it's like if this thing was to ever be something where the entities that we go up against, where they would have to do something about what we're doing. I mean, I'm like, people not even ready. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're not even, based on the little beefs and the little things and all the little controversies. I'm like, if I mean, we know that they watch, they listen and monitor, but like, if they ever decided to do something about what we're doing, I'm like, people are not ready for that.
No, because
they're not ready for that.
The niggas are, because a lot of niggas is down with them. And that's what we don't want to accept in our community neither. That this has been going on. COINTELPRO ain't never stopped. That shit ain't died with Hoover. It just got smarter. And really, the system has been in play ever since. They have, like I said, they've checked every movement. You know what I'm saying? And except this one. Because this one is not based on a basic physical premise. So they're trying to lump. So because the Patriots have now become Tea Party Republicans, you see what I'm saying? The only real quote-unquote Patriots or people talking about the Republic is us, more. So we are the silent majority now. And in that context, we are in the auspicious occasion to be able to benefit from that lawfully if and when we institutionalize some sort of governmental body that represents everybody. because then as a government, this can be spoken to through the so-called United States. And once you have treaties with everybody else, that creates a uniformed understanding of that. And then in that, you have your own United Nations right there, a United Nations of indigenous nations. See, that's what they don't want, because then based on that premise, you fall back under the context of the family of nations, which precedes the United States, that created the United Nations, which was illegal because the United States could not create its own family, because it was already a part of something that existed from time immemorial. And based on that document that I explained to you, that I spoke of earlier, that's living proof in their words that everything they do is based on what we set up. So if they want to say, oh, well, how are you going to prove you from the Iroquois Confederacy? I don't have to prove that. You see what I'm saying? The fact that I'm melanated and the fact that I'm talking to you in the context that I'm talking to you from means that I'm from that, genetically, historically. So all that then means is that once we establish something that has a government that can speak to these people, then we don't have to be individually out here filing paperwork, all that other shit. We'll have our own consulary that does that for us. You see what I'm saying? But the more each one of us do it individually, the more we look like we're just basically coming from a piratical jurisdiction, which then forces us to deal with them in admiralty. Also, people are filing paperwork with the wrong people. This whole freehold inheritance thing is filed with the Department of Justice. So what the hell are you filing paperwork with the Department of Treasury for? See what I'm saying?
Right.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah, real quick, one last thing. I saw something on the internet. It was actually some videos on YouTube. They were saying that if you in a court proceeding and, you know what I'm saying, you're standing on your square and you're doing your thing, and then the judge actually gets up off the bench and goes back to his chambers, when he comes back, he gets up and leaves and comes back because he's trying to flip it to admiralty law. Is that correct? Right. You know. Okay,
well,
that is the case.
Back from he's leaving because you put it out there that he's under admiralty, or that he's trying to flip admiralty. So when he leaves and comes back, that's supposed to be symbolic of him leaving the admiralty jurisdiction and coming back under a common law jurisdiction, or 13th article, or Article 3 jurisdiction, which is something that you can deal with.
Okay. Yeah.
However, sometimes that's what's supposed to happen, but that don't mean they don't always come back out under the same admiralty jurisdiction, acting like they under common law jurisdiction. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
That's the problem. The whole problem is we don't have our own court system. Like right now, if a Seminole get arrested here, he don't go to the regular jail. They got to call the BIA or somebody to come down and get him and hand him over to the feds. And then the feds got to hand him over to the tribal people so long as it ain't no murder or nothing like that. So that shows you that there's a different form of jurisdiction for indigenous people. But these people that we call Indian are not really Indian people. What they really are descendants of Caucasian people, black people, Caucasian people specifically, as well as what we would call Chinese people. You know what I mean? Who came over at a certain time and lived amongst the so-called indigenous people or whatever, and learned their ways and basically lived like that in the forest and the plains and stuff. You know what I mean? Interbred with other tribes that had so-called darker skins in the initial aspect, and then towards the late 1800s started to get kind of like phenotype different. So in that, the traditional Union white people, Protestant white people, started killing them by labeling them savages, Indians. And so eventually it had to be restricted where, in order to protect them, they had to have certain reserves set up for them, the same way they did with the buffalo and everything else. See what I'm saying? Because the white man looked at them as like hybrids, or like physical versions of a primitive version of his present self. You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
So these are the people who became the ones to live on the reservations after the buffalo still Wild Wild West show from the late 1800s, say 1885 to 1890s, and then so forth. After that, these are the ones that basically were traditionally seen now as so-called Indians or so-called Native Americans. It wasn't until a group called ARM came into existence, which was the American Indian Revolutionary Movement. They were like the Indian Black Panthers, who really talked about the connection with the original Asiatic people and how they was redesignated Negroes and all that. That's why all of them got shut down during the late 70s when all of the United States, they started moving in on the reservations because the corporations started to see that they get money from all the oil and shit and the mines and shit that these reservations was on. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, I think I've seen something about that. The Feds shut them down, right? The Feds came in, infiltrated or something like that.
Yeah, they really went hard on them. And then that's when the BIA basically became a more of a militarized version and a corporate arm of whatever interest they have in whatever ancestral land. So then by the late 90s, early 2000s, that's when they started to flip them into casinos and shit like that and start to move them away even further from the traditional ceremonies and shit that they really set up for them after they got rid of us. It was like they got rid of us, and then we got redesignated. Who was left of us became Negroes, and then these wild white people basically became seen as, let's say, red men, or then declassified them as Indians, and then they started using them to hold the land away from us, who are now annexed to the cities in the South and shit. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah. That's crazy. I was wondering why. I started wondering, like why do the so-called Indians get to be called Native Americans when the story is they came from somewhere else? You know what I'm saying? Like,
right. Because Native don't mean indigenous. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Native don't mean indigenous, so it's a different thing. You know what I mean? So indigenous, on a basic layman term, can be claimed by anybody that's coming from an original point of view in terms of the genetic scope of the inherited land and the people who rise from it. But the autochthonous people are the ones who have always existed and always will. So a layman term for autochthon would be original. You know what I mean? So when Elijah Muhammad said the original people, he's not just talking about the people in the Nation of Islam. When he's talking about the Nation of Islam, he's not just talking about the people that's in the Nation of Islam. He's talking about anybody that's functioning under the perspective of ourself, Lord and Master. And we know this because he was in the Moorish Science Temple when Noah Jali came up with all that. You know what I'm saying? So when you have these people say that this now is better than this, and how can that be when all of it is integral in the evolution of how we understand each other?
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, man, I feel you, man. Well, yeah, I just want to holler at you real quick, man.
Thank you, man, for calling. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no doubt, man. All right, peace.
Yeah, peace. Okay. Nine 954 on Super Heru Radio.
Hey, what's going on?
What's going on, G?
I'm doing great, man. And I really want to ask you, how are you?
I'm okay, man. You know?
You okay?
Thanks for asking.
Well, at least, that came from my heart when I asked that. I just want to call in and give praise to the show, because if I didn't have this show, I wouldn't know what I'd be doing on a Monday night. You know what I mean? Probably be on the internet.
Indeed.
Or watching Love and Hip Hop or some junk like that. So,
Right.
Yeah, it's pretty.
Right.
It's real. You know what I mean?
It's real, man.
I want to ask if you could grant me a wish. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
I want to know if you can wish me a safe 23rd birthday, this September 27th.
Oh, that's great, man. Happy born day, man. That's really peace.
Just want to be safe.
Indeed. Another whole cycle, bro. I said another whole cycle. That's a great day.
Thank you so much. I was listening to the show, and I want to thank everybody, really, because I see that numbers are coming in. When I say numbers, people call in. You try to give all your time to, whatever questions they have to ask. Well, I got a few questions. I want to know, when is the next time you'll be doing, like, a lecture in Miami, Florida?